Hi there, I'm Alex, and I've been meaning to do this video for a while. I just picked up my new Polaris 9R. This will be my first Polaris, and I just wanted to actually do a recap of my first season on a snowmobile. Just a little bit of background on myself. I just turned 55 in May. I threw a leg over a snowmobile for the first time back in January, so I have, one season, and I think there's a ton of content on YouTube on instructional contact from really capable riders, but there's not a whole lot of, what's it like to start out. So I'll share my experience snowmobiling, learning to snowmobile really from scratch, never having done it before. I know a lot of you are probably, if you're contemplating starting to snowmobile, you've probably seen the videos with Turcotte and with Chris Barant and Caleb Kosturki. I think everybody saw the video that went viral with Caleb making that 222-foot jump on a sled, which is nuts. So I got news for you. You're probably never going to do that. Don't kid yourself. That would be like buying a dirt bike and then watching, Travis Pastrana and Nitro Circus doing double backflips. Like, you're not going to do that. It's awesome to watch it, but that's not real life, and that's not what you should expect, certainly not in your first year. My background with motorsports, and I can say I've spent life behind bars for probably about 4 decades. I've raced everything from dirt bikes to supermoto to I've done some trials events. I spent almost 2 decades road racing everywhere from Daytona to in Florida to Laguna Seca in California, a bunch of tracks in between. And so I've had experience, and I know many of you maybe come from that type of background as well. But if you're contemplating snowmobiling, it will not help you a hell of a lot. That's just reality. If you think you're going to jump on a snowmobile and light the world on fire, you're going to get a big wake-up call on your first day. I certainly did. Fortunately, I was pretty realistic about what I was going to be able to do and not do. Yeah, if you're watching YouTube and you're watching those guys doing bow ties and re-entries and hopovers and all that, you will not do that in your first year. I can almost guarantee you that. I think I'm fairly athletic, but I'm also 6'4", 255 pounds, so I'm a big boy. One of the mistakes I can tell you that I made was thinking that, I'm this big, strong guy, I'm gonna have an easier time with the sled than somebody of a smaller stature, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The sled behind me is, it's 10 feet long. I think Chris Barant weighed the Polaris 9R. Ready to ride with fuel and oil and everything else at like 512 pounds. So it's basically a giant gold wing that wheelies. Makes, 180 whatever horsepower. So if you think that you're going to muscle it because you're a big guy, it's not going to happen. In fact, the biggest wake-up call I got was watching one of my instructors from the Sierra Avalanche Center, and she's this wiry 5'0". I don't think she's 100 pounds, and she's whipping around a sled like using skills, not physical strength. So don't think that you're going to muscle around a sled, because it's absolutely not going to happen. I can almost guarantee you that. I think having some motorsports experience is helpful in terms of understanding, target fixation. Like, if you don't want to hit that tree, don't look at the tree. That's pretty basic. I think there are some skills that might transfer in terms of brake throttle and, not whiskey throttle the sled and so forth, but not a whole lot of advantages. So be realistic that you are starting out as a complete noob. And there are great resources on YouTube. I mean, some of the channels I can definitely recommend that helped me out was the Let's Assess podcast with AJ and the Cook brothers. Tons of good content. But again, keep in mind, these guys are highly experienced. I think I saw AJ's Summit Turbo for sale after one season. He had like 2,100 miles on it. I mean, these guys ride a lot. They've been doing it for years, racing, snowcross, and everything else. They're way out of your league as a first-year rider. Next level riding clinics. There's also some good content on YouTube. I think that guy really does a good job. One of the best ones, honestly, I think if you look up Ross Robinson, he actually has about a 25-minute video on mountain riding basics. I think that's something that you want to bookmark and actually watch it after your first day, after your 5th day, after your 20th day, and you're always going to pick up something new. And then Chris Morant actually has it's episode, I wrote it down, episode 42. He has a really good understanding suspension on a snowmobile. So those are some of the resources that I think are helpful. There's also resources, and sort of the general consensus is your best bet is to start out on either a 155 or a 165 naturally aspirated sled. Being a bigger guy, I would definitely lean towards a 165. It has more flotation. What you're going to find in your first year is you're going to spend a lot of time stopping, resetting, because you're not really controlling your steering, especially the first few days that you do it, and you have to stop, reset, and start again. So you're not gonna keep up the momentum that the more experienced riders do. And with that, I think the other thing that pretty much everybody can agree on is no 146s. You have no business on a 146 as a newbie. That's definitely for more expert riders. And absolutely don't get a turbo. Do not get a turbo. It's heavier, it's harder to ride, it will wear you out, and you have no business on a turbo. I was tempted because you get that idea that, oh, I'm going to grow into it. And I can tell you, having road raced for almost 20 years and having been a new racer instructor, you got the new guy that shows up with 1,000cc, R1, GSX-R 1000 or something like that. And it's just like, you have no business on that. Like, seen the movie, know how it ends. Like, don't do it. Don't think that you're going to buy something stupid fast and you're going to grow into it. It's a mistake. Start out on an 850 naturally aspirated sled is unbelievably fast. You don't need a turbo. And you'll hear that from these other guys that I mentioned, the experts. So I definitely listen to that advice. Don't get a turbo. Don't get a 146. But what? So what can you expect? Your first day, embrace the suck. I mean, no matter what anybody tells you, how many videos, you're going to try and muscle the sled. You're going to wear yourself out. It's going to be, you're probably going to question your sanity. I certainly did. Like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Like, this is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And that's because you're fighting the sled, right? It's going to be tough to even get it up on one ski, which is something you absolutely have to learn. And you have to start doing that first in flat ground, find meadows and do that, and do it in deeper and deeper snow, and build up your skills. But your first day is going to be rough. You're going to see a big difference going to your second day, your third day. By your 5th day, you're going to be worlds better than you were on your first day. But it's a process, and along with that, with that process, here's something just, and again, from having participated in so many different motorsports and racing disciplines, you got to put in reps. Like, you're not going to get better sitting on the couch watching YouTube videos. You'll learn stuff, but until you do it, it doesn't count. And you know what else doesn't count? Saying, oh, I went 25 miles today or 20 miles today, but 18 of those miles or 20 of those miles was just a trail ride to and from the mountain riding area. It is a completely different sport to ride a trail sled than it is to ride a mountain sled in, off trail. Like, the steering changes, everything changes. So anybody can ride a trail sled, right? Tourists do it, and anybody that, like, literally just about anybody can ride a trail sled. To take a mountain sled especially into deeper powder and steeper terrain and so on, completely different sport. And you got to put in the reps. So if you took the trail and you went, 6 miles or however many miles you did on the trail to get to your riding area, once you get to that riding area, put in the reps. Depending on your level of fitness, you might be able to do 5 minutes, you might be able to do 10 minutes, maybe 15. You probably won't be able to do 20 minutes straight, because you got to go hard. You got to push yourself. You got to push your limits to learn. Just doing easy stuff that you're comfortable with doesn't help you learn. Like, you're just going to get stuck. You're going to plateau, and you'll be lucky to make it to an intermediate rider. So you got to push yourself, and you got to put in the reps. So if you've done, you got to your riding area and you did 2, 3, 4 sessions, stick around, do one more. Do it till you're exhausted. Riding the trail back is boring. I mean, that you're not learning anything on the trail. And if you made it all the way out there, basically just put in reps to the point of exhaustion until you're like, hey, my body can't take it anymore. I got to go back to the truck, to the parking lot. So that's I think one of the things that you really got to embrace the suck. You got to push yourself, and you got to do the reps. It's not going to happen from the couch, I promise you. No matter how many videos you watch, how many crazy things you watch from Caleb Kosturki or any of those guys. My first season, I did 25 days and something just over 700 miles. I was mostly on a Gen 5 Skidoo Summit Edge with a 165 track. I think that was a great first year sled for me. And I just picked up this Polaris 9R and a 155, and I'm pretty excited to ride it this year, just to kind of understand what is the difference between riding a Polaris and a Skidoo. Now, I'm not brand loyal. When I was racing and somebody gave me free helmets or whatever, yeah, I'm absolutely loyal. Or, I won prize money because Honda was paying out if you finish top 3 or something like that. Yeah, sure, great. But at this point, nobody sponsored me. I'm not shilling for anybody. I pay for all my equipment, every sled, every component on my sleds. I'm not getting any free stuff. That's not what this is about. So you got to try stuff, and if you make friends, maybe get on some sleds that to give you an idea what different brands. I haven't tried an Arctic Cat, for example, but take this stuff seriously. And the other thing that for sure you have to take serious is, listen, this is a dangerous sport. Any sport that tells you that you should carry a beacon and a shovel and a probe and so on. I mean, avalanches are real, and just because you are not educated on it, you don't get a free pass. You can't die, and people die. Like, you have to. I've already bought the airbag, so God forbid, you get caught in an avalanche, I can, pull the ripcord and get that bag inflated. So hopefully I stay on top of the avalanche. But the beacons, the probes, all that stuff, take the classes. Again, take the classes as soon as you can. You'll meet some great people. You meet some great riding buddies, but it's super, super important that you do this sport safely, because avalanches happen and they kill people, and being new is not an excuse. You're not going to get spared. That avalanche will kill you if you make a mistake. So, I can't say that enough. Take the avalanche classes, learn, at a minimum, go with one other person. I think ideal group size, my opinion, is probably 3, 4, 5 guys. If you get stuck, it's a lot easier to get somebody out of a jam if there's, more than 1 or 2 people helping dig out and so forth. So definitely think about that. And, don't mean to scare you, but it's just like, I race motorcycles, and obviously I'm still here, and I've had crashes at triple-digit speeds, and that's certainly not safe. But take safety seriously. Put in the reps. It's an amazing sport. I have a garage full of motorcycles, everything from trials bike to flat track bike to I still have a GSXR for doing the occasional track days. And if somebody put a gun to my head and said, get rid of all the bikes or the sleds, all the bikes are gone. Like, this sport is insanely fun. I haven't been so excited about a new sport in a very, very long time. It's insanely fun. And I'm fortunate that I live in the, close to the Lake Tahoe area. I probably have several riding spots within an hour and a half of my front door. So it's incredibly fun. We also went last year to West Yellowstone and Island Park and places like that. It's a phenomenal sport. The places you go to, the terrain you go into, it's nuts. Like, you won't regret it. But this is it's motorsports. Take it seriously. Take safety seriously. Take your sled maintenance seriously. There is no AAA. Right? If you're out there 5, 6, 7 miles and your sled breaks down, boy, you better be prepared for that. Carry the spare belts, carry the spark plugs, be with a buddy, carry a tow strap. I mean, take safety seriously, because you are in sort of a hostile environment and you do not want to get stuck in something like that overnight. Never ride alone. I think that's, yikes, that's a horrible idea. Don't do that. But yeah, if you're still interested into the sport, feel free to leave some comments and questions. I'm happy to share whatever I've learned in my first year. You know, you're not taking instructions from me. I'm a noob. You know, I got 25 days into it. I'm barely getting into slight incline terrain. I'm not doing any of the cool videos that you're seeing on YouTube. But it's an absolutely insanely fun sport. The sleds are hilarious fun. You're not going to regret it. But that's what it's like to be a first year noob, to get through it, to learn, to go through the growing pains, to go from day 1 to day 5 to day 10 to day 15. And again, put in the laps, put in the work. You're not going to regret it.